Okay guys, welcome to part 3. I finished recapping all the wax and paper caps underneath the chassis. Still have not started on the electrolytics. Right now I'm letting the set play and checking to see if these cans are getting warm, and they are not, but still going to go ahead and change these electrolytics for long-term health of the set. And then the other thing that I've done is I've removed the focus coil so we can get a little bit better look at what the result of our picture is. And as you can see, we are getting a really good picture now. I don't know if you can tell on the camera. That looks pretty washed out, but in reality it looks really, really good. See if I can get a better angle at it. There we go. Now our linearity is not quite right and all of that, but like I said originally, I'm not really shooting for that on this CRT. So the good news is we've got real strong horizontal lock, real strong vertical, and the set seems to be playing really, really well. Great sound.
True. You will want to make an escape of your own. You are the senior officer of the prisoners? Colonel Hogan, U.S. Army Air Corps.
So,
Something wrong?
next thing to do will be to recap the electrolytics and do some resistor checks, although I don't think we have too many resistors out of tolerance here. Not really seeing anything that would make me suspect that we have some really horrible resistors in there, but we'll go through it and check it anyway. Then after that, after I get those electrolytics changed, we'll fire it up one more time and see where we're at. But this thing's coming along really, really nice. Okay guys, back under the chassis, it's time to take a look at this 3K ohm canned ohm resistor. It's a 15 watt power resistor that just resides up next to the chassis here. And if you remember me talking about the focus coil earlier, and this resistor, if this resistor is out of spec, it can cause a lot of problems on this set. And if you look at where this resistor is at, this resistor R37, it's a 3K ohm resistor, and this resistor actually helps knock down voltage that's coming out of this focus coil to where we now have a 135 volt source. So basically how this works, here's our power coming into the set and the transformer and the 5U4 rectifier. And then you can see here, this is the focus coil that goes around the CRT, and it basically acts as a choke. And then this line right here comes up, this resistor, and along with this 20 microfarad from C1, basically allows us to get this 135 volt source. Which, what does that do? Well, it's pretty important, because when you come over to the 12AU7 sync separator and the 6SN7 in the vertical and the sync phase part, these are all supplied by this 135 volt source. So if this resistor is not right, it can cause you a whole lot of problems on your vertical, for sure. And since we aren't having that indication on our test CRT. I'm kind of tending to think that this may be okay, but we're going to check it anyway. Right now it's supposed to be 3K. We're at 3.1, so that's in pretty good shape. And I've been doing resistor checks, particularly on these 2 watt versions that are in here. There's some 1 watt ones here, and surprisingly these resistors are all checking really good. I mean, within 10%. So a lot of times on these sets, these are bad, and you know, they'll be more than 25% off. But in this case, most of these guys in here are in pretty good shape. So I've still got to go through more in here, and there's a couple I need to unhook to get a true reading on them. But here's another one of those 1 watters here and there. But for the most part, these guys are in pretty good shape. Okay, this guy's in good shape. There is our C1 can that we'll be pulling out and restuffing. And so, yeah, really shocked, but I'm really not finding anything in here that I just feel like needs to be yanked out and replaced for no reason. As long as they're in that close to specifications. I am going to play it though, play the set like this and make sure that and do a touch test just to make sure nothing's getting smoking hot. But it appears that over time these have gotten a little warm, but nothing to be too concerned about. So anyway, and then the other thing that I've done, I don't know if you can tell, but I've cleaned up the contacts on the tuner. So yeah, we're getting close. I'm just waiting on an order on some resistors and the electrolytic caps for this set from DigiKey, and that should be in a day or two. And then get after restuffing those electrolytics, and we'll be ready to do another power up after that. But anyway, it's coming along. It's coming along. I think this set's going to be a really great performer when I'm done with it. Okay, I'm getting ready to replace the electrolytic capacitors, and I thought we'd take a quick peek at what we're going to be going in with. This is a Nichicon electrolytic cap that'll be perfect for the size cans that we're dealing with. This is supposed to be a 60 microfarad at 450 volts, and we're going to come back in with 68 microfarad at 450 volts. And then the other 2 sections of cap number 1 will be 20, currently they're 20 microfarads at 350 volts, and we're going to come back in with these 22 microfarads at 350. That'll be the first cap. Then the second one is supposed to have 100 microfarad at 50 volts, and we're going to be putting this 100 microfarad at I'm sorry, it's supposed to be 100 at 25 volts. This we're going to go back in with 100 at 50. And then the other cap is a let's see here, this is supposed to be an 80 at 350, and we're going to come back in with this 82 at 350, and you can see it's long and thin like the others. And then the last is a 20 microfarad at 450, and I've got a 22 at 450. So you can see those 3 caps, pretty small, but they'll work just fine. And then the last of the canned electrolytic caps is has a section at 10 microfarads at 450, which we got right here. And then this is what's amazing. It's got two sections, one at 20 and one at 10 at 25 volts. So we're going to come back in with this 22 at 25, and you can see how small that is. There's my fingernail. And then this is the 10 at 25 volts. And you can see how small that is. So these three little caps right here, modern day electrolytics, replacing a whole can. Okay guys, I've got the first canned electrolytic capacitor out, and I've got the capacitance checker out, and I thought we would just take a look at this and see what exactly the condition is on this cap. So we're going to check each section of this. Not that it makes much difference because we're going to replace them anyway, but it's always kind of fun to just see what kind of condition these caps are really in. So the first section that we're checking is one of the 20 sections, and 20 on the scale is right about here, and we're getting our eye open right about there. So it's measuring at about 22 microfarads, which is good. Well, that's close enough. So now the next thing we're going to do is do a leakage check, and I've got it set on 350 volts. I'm sorry, yeah, 350 volts. And what we should see is this eye close when I hit the leakage test, and then we should see the eye slowly open. And if the eye slowly opens, it means the capacitor is not leaky. And hopefully you guys can see this, that eye is opening, and it should open slowly like that, and it's just fine. So that 20 section piece of the capacitor is good. Okay, so our next section is another 20 microfarad piece. And this one's measuring right on about the same, probably about 22 microfarads. And we'll do a leakage check on it. And again, it's checking fine. Nothing in the world wrong with that section. So the 220 microfarad sections are in pretty good shape. So now let's check the 60 portion, and 60 on the scale is going to be right about here. Looks like we got maximum eye deflection about right there, which is about 48 microfarads, so we're a little light there. And this is actually rated for 400, so we're going to bump it up a notch to 400 just to do the leakage check. In all reality, it probably wouldn't have 400 volts on it at any time, but that is what the cap is rated for. So let's do our leakage check. Yeah, it's slowly opening, which is good. It's opening all the way up. Yeah. So that's really good. That's probably the best I've had a can cap of this vintage check. You probably could have gotten away with leaving this in the set. It's working just fine, but for how long, who knows? So That's the reason for changing them in restoration. Now let's go ahead, and this is the 82 microfarad at 450 volt cap that we're coming back in with. So just for fun, let's check this one. And of course we would expect to get really good readings on this cap because it's brand new. There appears to be maximum deflection. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's right smack on 62, which is exactly the value of this cap. And now a leakage check at 450 volts. And the eye is opening slowly, and the eye is open. So even though we could have gotten away with using this cap, and you know, it makes sense. The TV's producing a really good picture, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with the voltages on the set using this cap. It's filtering great. It's doing what it's supposed to do. But you know, the question is for how long? This can capacitor. It looks to me like it's original, and it is showing some signs of some of its inside starting to leak. So we'll go ahead and just crack this open and take the guts out of it and put these new caps in like so as the helicopter goes by. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Sound like the Lifeline helicopter just flew by. So here's another thing I wanted to share with you guys. In going through this set, I've been checking a lot of the resistors, especially like this 56K 2-watt here that comes off that main filter cap that we're getting ready to restuff. And I'm really amazed. I just really haven't found I found one resistor in this set that I feel like we need to change. This is supposed to be 56K. It's coming in at 54.3, which is slightly low, but that's not too bad. For instance, here's a newer 56K 2-watt, and you know, I'm getting 55.3. So this guy's still good. There's absolutely nothing wrong with him. So I have an inclination to just, you know, leave him in there. There's no reason to yank him out if he's not that far off. This is also on that same filter cap, and it's a couple of 82K resistors in parallel, so we should be getting to about 41K, and you can see there it's 42.4. So and I've been finding that throughout this set. It's no wonder it still worked, and it's no wonder that as I get these caps changed, this thing is playing really well. So I think after I get all these electrolytics restuffed and back in, I think this thing is going to be pretty good to go. I can't really think of anything else we would need to really do to it. As long as that picture looks good and the sound's good, there's probably no need to even consider doing an alignment on it. So that's really the plan, guys. I'm going to go ahead and restuff all these guys. I'm not going to record that. You guys have seen capacitors restuffed before, and if you haven't, then you know all you got to do. There's a million videos on it on YouTube. So when I come back, I'll have all the electrolytics restuffed, and we'll be ready to do a power up, and hopefully we'll be ready to send this chassis back home, and so it can be reunited with its CRT and cabinet and be a great restored TV. So when I come back, we'll be at that point, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. All right, thanks for watching. See you later.